Hey family, welcome back to my channel. Y'all know what I'm about to jump on heads because I'm about to tell my business, right? Today's video, as you see by the title, yes, me and my late husband, I allowed his baby mother to move in with us. And you might be wondering, like, how in the world did you get to this point where you let the baby mother move in? And then how you trust him and living in the same house as you? Listen, let me tell you. Let me just tell you, like, I'm a very caring person. I've let people in my house many of times before in the past. I mean, there was a girl I met at work. She was, I guess expressing to me she needed a place to stay. She was basically like homeless, but she was working, I guess, to try to find a room and, all this other stuff, Chad. When I was like, well, I got space in my house. You can come on into my house, like, like I'm always like somebody's big mama, right? There was another time I've let other friends live with me, family members. So this time, it didn't seem no different to me. You understand? Like, it was definitely different, but at the time, it didn't seem different. So I'm gonna just go ahead and jump right into the story. So basically, this particular time, it was me, my late husband, my kids, his kids, we all were in the truck. And then my husband's phone kept going off. And I was getting so irritated because I was like, I knew who was calling him, and it was his kid's mom. And I was like, why she keep calling you? Like, what is that about? And he was like, I don't know. And then, he called and talking to her, and she like, I don't know where I'm about to go because my sister, all of a sudden, she said that I have to leave. She never gave me no warning. Today is the day of the eviction. She was saying that they all was getting put out that day, right? So I was like, ooh, child, that's a heavy situation. I wasn't looking for no solutions. I just was like, that was a heavy situation. She was telling me about her situation and how it was a time she got some $10,000 settlement or something from some doctor or something. I'm not sure, but she ended up giving most of it to her sister. And he's like, how is it that you're in this position when you had money to get on your own, But for some reason, it didn't work out. And I guess the sister wasn't paying the bills or whatever. Time is going on, nighttime is coming, and he's like, the kids, they don't have no place to go to because they all got put out because the kids was living with the mother as well at the time. So, but this particular day, sometimes we just keep the kids for some time and then we send them back. But he was like, they don't have no place to go. And I was like, I still wasn't looking for those situations. It's at nighttime and, the kids in the back looking so sad. So it honestly was like the end of, I told you the background changes because I got another break on my bus, okay? But the end of that cartoon where it was the bad kids, baby, was the bubba, whatever. And at the end, the guy, he was a comedian, and he was saying like, he had took the kids in the house, and he was like, dang, where the food at? And the kids was looking all sad, like they had no food. It's not funny, but it was like that, okay? And I felt so bad, and I was just like, oh man, I gotta come up with a solution. Like, I have to do something. I told my husband, I was like, well, what if the kids just come and stay with us? Just until their mother can find something. They was like, but what about mommy? And, I'm like, oh, my. Like, I was at a place where I truly, truly love my husband and I love his kids. So I didn't want to see them upset. Like, it was a very, very unfortunate situation that everybody was in. But we just was hit with it just all of a sudden. But being the kind of person that I am, I just said the unthinkable. And I was like, I just told my husband, because I think it wasn't the same day. I think it was the next day. And I was just like, well, what if the kid's mom just come live with us? And he was like, what? Absolutely not. Like, he just was like totally against it. Like, no, why would I? No, she can't stay here. And then I guess after he was thinking about it, he was like, whoa, I guess temporarily until she could find something. And I was like, yeah, she's fine. She can stay here. She can stay in the living room. We'll make room for her. I made space. So needless to say, she came in and she was very kind. You know, we got along very well, like girlfriends in a sense. But things started to go downhill. And listen, started to go downhill. I told y'all I had this real pretty apartment that I allowed them to move in. And if you want to look at my previous video, you can see how I said, you know, sometimes when you're in a wrong relationship, you can lose things. And child, let me just say, after I let them in, it was like chaos. But she didn't clean up, ever. She did not clean up, okay? I was getting tired of her cooking in my kitchen. Yes, I said it. She was cooking in my kitchen. And just, child, it just was like, what did I say yes to? And why did I say yes to this? So things was going downhill very fast. I was trying to make the best of it, but it just was too overwhelming. And I would be stressing my husband out about it. Like, you need to tell her she has a time limit, because time had went on, and it was about, I would say she was there for about 7 months. 7 months total, and that was too long. I thought it was just going to be a month or two, but 7 months. So as each month was coming along, I was getting more and more irritated. And we and my husband, I mean, we were fiancé at the time. We were just engaged. We weren't even married at the time. But time went on. I became pregnant. I'm fussing at him about her living there, and he like, well, this is your idea, and you the one that brought it up. And you know, we were getting into full-on fuss-out battles. And I'm like, you need to tell her she has to go. What, you scared of her? And you know, it was just, it was so much, y'all. I ended up getting, my pregnancy had some complications. So I told him, I was like, you need to tell her she has until, let's say the month was July or something. I was like, you tell her she has until the month of July to get out. She need to find some place to go. I don't care where it is, but she has to go by July. So he was like, okay, I'll tell her. So he told her, and then July came, and she ain't go nowhere. She was still there. And I was like, you ain't found a place or nothing yet? And she was like, no. That was it. It wasn't no, like, I'm looking, or, you know, I got this lined up. Nothing, y'all. So I was like, and then she wasn't working. I don't know if I told you that. But she wasn't working. She was sleeping all day on the floor. And it just, y'all, just know I was frustrated. It probably sounds frustrated even telling the story, but I was so frustrated. I was so discouraged. I was so enraged. And I'm like, here it is. I'm pregnant by my fiance. We're about to get married soon. And his baby mother and his kids, well, his kids was undisciplined. So let's just say that. Let's not forget that part. But I got, you know, undisciplined kids in my house, baby mother in my house, my kids in the house, and it was just so overwhelming. And I felt like I was just in a situation by myself. Like, I felt like my fiance didn't have my back. I felt like he was like defending her and the kids, and it just was chaotic. So I got sick in the hospital with the pregnancy, and I had to stay bedridden for, I think I had to stay in the hospital for probably about a month. I want to say, was I in the hospital for a month? Or if it wasn't a month, it was almost a month, because my baby, the fluid came out, because they had did one of those tests where they stick a needle in your belly to test the amniotic fluid or something. And soon after that, my water broke. So my water broke at, I want to say I was about 5 months pregnant. No, I was almost 6 months pregnant, and my water broke. And I just was having complications, and the baby, I mean, he seemed like he was doing okay, but they had to have me like closely monitor me. So while I'm in the house, in the hospital, my kids, you know, they're being taken care of by my fiance and everything, and it was time for us to get ready to move, but I was in the hospital. So I told my fiance at the time, I was like, so what are you gonna do? What are we gonna do? And he ended up looking for a house. So my fiance, he ended up getting a very nice townhome. It was a 3-bedroom townhome with a basement. it was decent. It was decent. It had a washer and dryer inside the home, which was truly awesome for me. So I'm hearing about this, but I haven't seen it, you know, because I'm in the hospital. So my husband, he has to move all my things and stuff. Like I said, it was destroyed. So it really wasn't salvaging much of anything. So I think he took the mattresses and like I just said, that previous place of mine, I mean, it was like the carpet went from this light tan, but by the time it was time to move, it was gray with stains all over it, child. All my furniture was broken, hole in the wall. Like, it was a mess. Just put it that way. It turned to be an entire mess. The sectional I had, one of his kids peed on it, child. It was a mess. So none of that stuff really could go with us to move. Only thing that really went was like the kitchenware, you know, utensils and things like that. But other than that, it wasn't really much that could be salvaged. So we had to purchase new stuff. So while I'm in the hospital, I was like, your baby mother can't come with us. Was supposed to leave. She's supposed to left in July. And I think at this time, it was about, let me see, October when I said this. So it's more than months had went past. So I was like, you know, she should have been left. It looked like she ain't trying to leave. I said, but I'm going to tell you like this. She's not coming in my house, nor is her stuff. Do not allow her things in my home. And he was like, okay, you know, okay, babe, I understand what you're saying. And, you know, basically, you know, it wasn't his idea from the beginning. It was my idea. And we established that. But I said, okay, in the new home, she's not coming. That's just the way it is. I didn't mind the kids being there, of course, because that's his home too. But I was like, she can't come. I get out the hospital, and I am placed on bed rest. I think I'm placed on bed rest for about 2 weeks straight. So I'm sitting in a bed, and I'm still pregnant at this time. I'm placed on bed rest, and I go downstairs because this was the time where 2 weeks was up. So I think it was time for me to, you know, start moving. So I went all the way to the basement. I don't know. I just felt like something was telling me that. And now I know that was Holy Spirit. Like, you need to check this out. So I went all the way down to the basement. Now, granted, this is like my first time really exploring the house. I seen it when they brought me in from the hospital, but I didn't really see all levels. You understand? So I went to the basement, and I'm still in pain, but I make my way all the way down to the basement, and I see all these totes and, you know, storage and stuff. So I was like, what is this? Because we didn't even have nothing we saved from the previous house, so why is this stuff in the basement? So my fiance was at work at the time. So I started going through the totes. Guess what I see? These big old bras from his baby mother, women's stuff, and the kids stuff. And so I asked him, I said, so what's going on? And he like, what you mean? I was like, why is her stuff in our house? And he like, you went through my kids' stuff? Like, trying to start an argument. Like, I went through his kids' stuff. I said, let's save it. I told you I didn't want her or her stuff in this house. But yet you got her stuff in my house, my new house. And let me tell you, child, I was furious. And he's like, that don't make no sense. You can't be going through my kids' stuff. And like, complete. When I tell you this was not the relationship for me, this was totally something that I should have never involved myself in. It was toxic. It was unfulfilling. It was heartache. It was desolate. It was, I just felt like the cankerworm was there. The locust was there. I just felt like, it was just a mess. So I'm telling I think I had told my dad or something, because my dad, he's like the mediator between me and my ex-husband. So he was like, you know, we had actually went and paid my dad a visit. We went to his home. And I said, do you know he still has her stuff in our house? And then my dad looked at him and he was like, oh, her stuff has got to go. He didn't say stuff, but he was like, her, you know what, has got to go. You can't have another woman's stuff in your woman's house. And the longer you have that stuff there, the more you're going to have problems out of Marquita. And sure enough, he did. He had problems out of me because her stuff was still there. So he finally got her stuff out of the house, and she was living with my mother-in-law, which is his mom. So she was staying with them, and his mother-in-law had a lot of people living in there as it was. So anyway, he finally got her stuff out. The kids ended up coming, but they didn't live there. They wanted to be with their mother, so they were staying at the mother-in-law house as well. So my mother-in-law's, her house was just overcrowded. I'm sure everybody in there was stressed, and it was just a lot. But we ended up getting married after I lost the baby, because I told you I had complications in the pregnancy, and my baby came out stillborn. But I have a picture of him, but I don't know if I should show y'all, because it's just so heartbreaking. I mean, even when I used to see other people's stillborn babies, I was like, you know, it just hurted my heart so bad. You know, I could see if my baby was living, I'll show a picture of that one, but the first picture I have, he wasn't living, so I'd rather not show that. But we was going through a real tough time. And sidebar, this whole situation reminded me of Abraham and Sarah, because I don't know if you know the story, but Sarah was promised a child by God, but she was in her old age. So I guess she was losing faith, and she was thinking, you know, well, she was telling her husband, Abraham, why don't you just sleep with my servant woman, get her pregnant, and then, you know, we'll have a baby that way, which he did. It was her idea, right? And come to find out, time went on, she became jealous of her. I mean, so much to the point she put her out. And that situation that I went through reminded me of the Abraham and Sarah story. And I was like, dang, here it is. I'm coming up with this bright idea, right? She should come live with us, and the kids should come live with us. And child, that was the worst decision ever. So anyway, that's how she ended up living there. But like I said, the story had ended tragically. If you've seen my previous video, my husband ended up dying. He had an enlarged heart. We didn't know he had an enlarged heart, but he ended up having a heart attack, and it was a very scary situation and caught all of us by surprise. We was laying in the bed next to each other, and then all of a sudden he started twisting and turning, and he just sounded like he was choking, and he just sat up on the bed and passed out, like head first, like passed out. And I thought he was pranking, because, you know, we always did pranks and different things together besides the toxicity. But we would do a lot of pranks on each other, and I'm thinking, like, is he serious? And I'm like, come on, get up, stop playing. And he was not getting up. I mean, his breathing, even when I picked up his arm and it went limp, I was like, oh, this is serious. I'm screaming to my kids, like, call 911, open the front door. Like, I didn't want nothing to get in the way of them coming to save him. And when the paramedics got there, I was like, you know, do whatever you can to save him. We got so many kids together. He's a dad of 5, and just please do whatever you can. And they was doing whatever they could to save his life, because I think they was working on him for almost an hour, but they just couldn't save him. But like I said, that was a tragic story. And I also had a miscarriage, and that's just not funny, but I had a miscarriage before he passed away, and that was my daughter. I was pregnant with my daughter. So my son Paris was stillborn, and my daughter Pearl was she was a miscarriage at about 3 or 4 months pregnant. She was a miscarriage. But I can get into that story too if you want to. I got stories for there's so many testimonies I have, y'all. But I'm encouraged. I'm not discouraged. I don't have any ill will towards, you know, the baby mother or the kids or nobody. We actually end up moving to Texas, me and my kids. So, I mean, like I said, it's no ill will. But I just wanted to share, you know, basically how I got to that point of allowing his, you know, kid's mom to come in and move with us. But until next time, I love y'all. And, you know, if you have any other questions or concerns or anything, just put them in the comments. All right, love y'all. Take care.